Hi all, Andy here and welcome back to the channel. Well, what do we have here? Before you get too excited, no, it's not a genuine White Roadster because that would be really rare, but it is a White Roadster. It's had a respray, it was originally silver, and it's here with me today because it's got a sagging rear window that's coming away from the hood. As you know, if you've watched my channel, I do a full deep dive on how to repair hoods and hood glass on an Audi TT Mk1 because I'm going to get this glass back in order for the owner Andy. There are a few other niggles with the car as well, which I'm going to go through while I'm here. Not going to fix all of them, but what I can do, I will see what I can do something about. But I will also point out a few of the problems with the Audi TT Mk1 Roadster because this example has some of those problems and I'm going to show you why. So let's take a look at the car first. Now first up, as affects many Audi TT Mk1s, it's got these very hazy, crazy headlights. Now I think we can do something about those while it's here, give it a rub back. It's been for an MOT and the guy that did the MOT said next time he wouldn't pass it based on the lack of clarity through the lights. So we're going to sort that for Andy somewhat while it's here. It's also got a broken front bumper and the paintwork doesn't feel particularly good under there anyway, so can't do a lot about that because it's a white front bumper. Even if I put my own bumper on there, it's not going to be colour matched. I've noticed looking at the bottom of these lights while we're about it, it's been painted with these on the car because there's paints on the light as well. Those wheels, those 19-inch wheels are immense, but they definitely need a refurb. Now moving to the driver's side door or window, you can see there's a gap above. So maybe one of the micro switches has failed on the window glass. Again, that's a job we could do. I won't be doing it in this video, but something to look at for the future for Andy. Now this is a common failure and it could actually be linked to a problem I'm going to point out inside the car with the CCM. Now if the CCM gets wet in your Roadster, you're going to start introducing electrical gremlins to the car. Now it doesn't seem to be too bad and the only obvious one is this window. The other electrical components, understand they do actually all work. But if your CCM was causing you problems, you'd also notice things such as the locks not working, the boot not opening, the hood maybe not going all the way up or coming all the way down or not even actuating, or the petrol cap not releasing. All those components that are electrical, and even the lights could stop working on the car. So things that you might notice are electrical gremlins could be linked to the CCM. So let's look at that and understand why that happens. So opening the door to Andy's car, I can put my hand in the roof void and yep, I can feel it straight away, it's wet. Now the CCM sits below the roof void in a small compartment which I'll show you shortly. Now what tends to happen with Roadsters, when they get rained on and there's a problem with the hood glass and it's letting water in, this roof void will fill up and get damp. Now you'd hope it would drain away, but just inside the corner of the roof void space, around about here, just behind this door close, there is a small drain hole. Now that drain hole can get filled up with detritus, leaves, rubbish, soil, dirt, whatever. There are two drainage trays, one on either side of the car, that allows the water to drain away out of the car through the drainage tubes. And if those little drain holes at the top, they're like little plug holes, get blocked up, the water backs up into the roof void and subsequently ends up in where the CCM is and causes problems. So I think this problem with the door is linked to that. If your CCM is failed, normally the answer is you need to buy a replacement CCM. However, there is a guy in the UK called Sean Blenko, and I'll leave a link to Sean's page here in my video description, where you can get these CCMs tested and hopefully repaired, and that will save you a rather large bill. But I can feel this roof void is wet and that's due to the window leaking, so let's get the car in the garage and let's get this window repaired to stop the damp getting into the car. Let's see if Andy's car starts. Hopefully it does. That starts nice and easy. Now this is a 1.8. Roll it into the garage. Now what's interesting on Andy's hood is normally it comes away in the corners and you have to re-stick it down here. And I can see it's starting to come away again here, and it's obviously been repaired in the past. But interestingly, Andy's hood has come away at the top. So I think the glass has sagged down, putting this under pressure. So the first thing we're going to do is get this old sealant off the hood as much as we can, get it cleaned up. Then we're going to apply some new sealant to this lip, get it suspended on my sucker plugs, put the roof under some tension and hopefully let that dry overnight and see if that solves the problem. So the first thing we're going to do is get all this cleaned up. And what's interesting, it looks to me like this hood has been repaired in the past because there's a lot of scratch into the glass here as if someone's tried to remove sealant before. So I don't think this is going to be a new repair, but we'll do what we can. And we'll get this removed as much as possible so we can get some new sealant on. Now one of the issues we've got with this hood is it seems to have contracted back. So I'm trying to get a little bit creative. I've taken the tension out of the hood at the moment because what we're going to have to do is somehow get behind the hood and in front of the hood and pull this part of the fabric down over the window so that and lift the window up at the same time into this crevice. So I'm going to support the window from underneath and lift it up. So that takes the tension and the weight out of the window, and then somehow find a way to drag the hood down over the window so it will make a nice even seal. Might have to do this in 2 stages, but we'll see what we can do. So there you go, we've got the window supported on that box, and if I just push the hood out of the way a little bit, you can see that now what we should be able to do is that window glass isn't under tension and I should be able to slot it back under there. And what I need to work out is a way that I can put this under enough tension, pulling it down over the window to allow it time to stick. But this is the auto sealer that I use. It's a black silicone adhesive, but I'm going to apply evenly now that the window is clean on both sides of the fabric, so when I pull it down, get it to bond nicely to the window. So rather than adding the adhesive to the window, I'm going to add it into this groove. And you don't have to worry about getting too much on because we should be able to remove the excess from the window with some sealant remover. Now the good thing about this adhesive is it is quite sticky, so it will hold the window almost straight away. But again, we need to make sure we've got it bonded on. I need to prop the window as well from the inside to stop the top from sagging. So I need to support that as also. So here's my rather crude way of sticking the roof. I've had to put the top of the hood under some weight coming downwards to pull this down over the window. So I've got these 2 clips and some wires going around. Some very fine staples in the outside of the material, so it's not going all the way through, it's just to hold it, to pull that down to pressure. I've got a cardboard box on the inside giving us some pressure outwards. Now this is take 2 of fixing this window because the very first attempt at doing this did fail because the adhesive did not hold it strong enough. And that's because when I used 2 clips to support this back window, they kind of failed. So what I've had to do is I've had to go every inch or so along this back window, putting it under some sort of tension with these staples, which I've just put through the very top edge of the window, no further than that, to the top edge, and then use the wires to put it under tension, pull it down around these suckers, and the suckers have been able to hold that in place. Now I haven't removed this yet, so it's going to be interesting to find out if this is held. Again, this is the second version. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to release these staples. So the way I'm doing the staple removal, again, I'm going to remove the suckers from the window so the window's under no tension. So I put my pry tool underneath like so, put my screwdriver over the top and just use that to lever up so I'm not putting the window or pulling the window away at all from the glass, because the last thing we want to do is remove that once again from the glass, get one side out, and then we can twist this around and it should just come free of the hood like so. The window is now under no tension from the outside. You can see it's stuck, which is great. The cardboard is not supporting it on the inside either, so that window is fully supportive and the seal is good. So that's a good job other than cleaning it up. As we can see from the gaffer tape, this repair did not work, and I think that's because you need to do this in a 2-step process. and I'm going to show you what I mean on a hood that's off the car, but it would involve bonding the glass to an interior strip of material first. Make sure that bonds. On the inside, it will have this sealing layer that's about an inch wide, maybe an inch and a half wide. What you could do is you could peel this away from the existing liner, and my advice would be to bond this to the glass itself rather than the hood, so that you have a bond between the glass and this strip to start with. And then when you get the glass in position, you bond this part of the hood, this strip, to the hood itself to make a nice strong bond. That way you can ensure this internal piece of the hood, this strip, has a nice firm seal with the glass before you try and put it under any tension with the roof. And then you can use the same auto sealer to seal the outer part of the hood to the glass. So it's more of a two-stage process, and I think by doing so, that will ensure you make the glass stick to the hood. That would probably work, but my method of putting under tension hasn't worked on this occasion. But I have been able to fix something else on this car while it's been here. Look how bad these headlights are, even in the daylight. Time to set about these with the polisher. So taking a closer look at these headlights, we can see just how bad they are. The word Bosch is barely visible down here in the corner. They're really hazed and crazed, and looking at them, they don't feel too bad, but they are pretty awful, and they are a black surround light. And if I move that in closer, you can see just how bad that is up close. You can barely make out the bulb. And to the point that they would be an MOT failure, they are so bad. I don't think you can appreciate on the camera just how bad they are. In fact, if I hold that up and we look down, you can probably see there the ring light is just about reflecting in it. You can make out the ring light there. But if we move across to a light I've just restored, and I bring the ring light across so you can see the difference, just take a look at that light. Look how shiny that is. If I put the ring light behind that, you can see that reflect up lovely. You can see everything in this. You can see the word Bosch down here. You can see the detail of the light. You can see the reflector. You can see the actual bulbs in this one. That's how clear they are. I'm going to give you a close-up of that. In fact, you can see me in the reflection. It's so good. Now, there is some areas here still which I haven't completely removed, but this has all been done with a DA polisher and some T-cut. There's been no sandpaper because really it's just the very fine level of detail in these lights that was causing a problem, and the hazing. And that is a fantastic result. You can see clearly the shape of the light as well, the bezel on the light round there. So there's both lights in the picture. This side we can see the restored light, and that side we can see the light still to do. So let's see how we turn this light into this light. So I'm going to start off by just applying some T-cut to the light. Just give it a nice coating like that. And you could spend your time rubbing it by hand, but that's going to take forever and a day. So when we next see this light up close, we know it's going to be nice and clean. Now you could use some masking tape on this, but I'm just going to use some insulation tape because we're not going to be going too heavy on the paintwork here. We're not going to be bumping into the edge. So now we set about it with the DA polisher. Again, there's no sandpaper being used here, it's just the polisher. I've got it set on a pretty fast speed. I work my way around the light. Now with just a single pass, that looks better already. You can see there's a heavier area of crazing just here. It does make me think that these lights have previously been coated with some form of clear sealant. But we can see the word Bosch there quite clearly now. So let's give it another go and see how much difference we can make. Wow, what a difference we now have on this headlight as well. It looks brand new. So I think that's a good jobbed with the DA polisher. Here is a great side-by-side comparison of before and of course after I attacked these lights with a DA polisher and some T-cut. I'm sure you'll agree that before and after makes a massive difference, and these lights will carry on working for years to come. Now we've got those headlights done, let's take a look at the engine bay, and it is filthy. Let's take a close-up of this. Pipes covered in all sorts of dirt, even the covers are all dirty. But what's interesting to see under here on the white car are the silver turrets. Yep, it's not an original white car, it is a silver car. You'll notice it is a 180 as it doesn't have the charge pipe, so I guess that is one less thing for me to clean. Let's get it clean. And there we go, a quick freshen up of the engine bay, and it looks much better already. Well, with these restored lights and a clean engine bay, this car is looking 100 times better already. So this handle had come off the car originally and been put back on the wrong way around. I found some pictures online how to do this disassembly, and I'm going to list those in the video here and explain how I did so. But to give you a rundown, it's a two-part handle. Essentially you need to remove the handle and then very carefully with a screwdriver prise the plastic button part off the mechanism because it's quite snug. Here is your roof close mechanism, and it's in two parts. You've got the handle and you've also got the push button like this. Now this one is broken because this is the one that's come off the car, but it does highlight one of the bits we need to remove. So your process would be you would lift the handle up as per the instructions into this position. We'll just turn that around, and you will then see there is this hole on the handle. It's a big hole on one side of the handle and a little hole on the other side. And it's this bigger hole we need to work on because there is this pin inside it, this bolt, with a 4mm hex head on the end. And that goes through and would secure your handle to the roof mechanism like so. Now there is a part missing out of here. You can probably see there's some metal that's been sheared off, and that's why this handle broke, because the retaining part of the handle that this goes through had snapped off from the mechanism. But to remove this from the car, you would first loosen this pin with a 4mm hex bolt, and to remove this pin from the handle with this small hole on the side, you would insert a screwdriver or a piece of wire through that hole, which would push the pin back out of the handle. And that would allow you to then disconnect the handle mechanism from the push button and the turning mechanism on the roof. Now this push button, to remove this, there should be another piece just like this on this side, and it is secured in place. If you look on the bottom, there is a hole there, but there should be a little peg that pokes out of there, and there would be another one just here as well, and that pushes into two small holes on the roof mechanism. Now you've got to be careful removing these, and the idea would be you take a screwdriver around the back and you would lightly prise it up as per the instructions on screen. You can then remove that from the car. So what I've done is I've removed this broken one on this hood handle like this and placed a new one or a better quality one on the hood, which has solved the problem. And once you've prized that off, you can reassemble it with a new handle like so, and the hood now works as it should. Now you will notice as I've closed that hood, there's no sound of the windows going up. So I've done a window reset on both windows, and the passenger window now does work as expected. The driver's window, I think that's more linked to one of two things. Either the micro switch has gone in the window, which would need the internal door skin removing and replacing of the micro switch, or the glass itself has become misaligned, and you can adjust that through two holes in the bottom of the door to align the glass. Although interestingly, I've just made an observation that might explain some of those electrical gremlins. If we look at this cable run through the door, you can see there are bare wires right here. So they have perished and become frayed. You can see there's a visible split there in some of these wires. Now that's something I can't take on, and it would need to go to an auto electrical specialist to take a look. So unfortunately I can't fix that. With the electrical gremlins and also the lumpy running, I thought I'd also give the car a scan with car scanner and a Bluetooth OBD2 reader to see what's going on, if there's any error codes also. So I've got the diagnostic tool in and I'm about to run a scan. So let's see what it comes back with during the scan. So I'm going to turn the engine on. You can probably hear there it's a little bit lumpy, but what we'll do is we'll run a full scan now on the car so we can make sure there's no issues on anything that's going on this car. Now a full scan does take some time to complete due to the number of sensors and checks it must do. There you go, you've probably just heard that as it's had a right problem there just ticking over. Now it definitely has one code on the dash because it has a issue with, I think, a wheel speed sensor or a problem with the Haldex or something that's affecting the ABS, because we've got the exclamation mark in the triangle and the little rotation sign. So there's definitely a problem with the wheel somewhere, and it's telling me there's no codes found in the car, which is rather interesting. I can definitely hear some rather unusual noises coming from that engine. But the good news is the scanner's come back with no error codes, despite that issue with that odd or lumpy running. So I think that must be a intermittent issue that doesn't log a fault code. Could be something as simple as a bad coil pack or a misfiring plug, but that would normally log a fault code, but I've also heard that sometimes they do not. Well, unfortunately I didn't manage to fix all the problems with this car, but I have managed to sort the headlights and fix that hood handle, so there's been some progress. The hood, well, I think the hood could be fixed long term if I followed that new process and had some time to do so. The electrical gremlins, they're more of a concern because I think there's issues in that door from the wiring and it's not something I can really take on. Now the car runs a little bit lumpy as well, so I think it needs a service. It is telling me on the dashboard it needs a service as well. So this car would definitely benefit from an oil and plug change for sure. So hopefully you've enjoyed this little video on some jobs I've been able to do on this lovely white Audi TT, and I'm sure you'll agree the headlights make a massive difference alone. If you've enjoyed today's content, then please do think about giving this video a thumbs up, and also think about subscribing to my channel if you've not already done so, where you'll find a whole host of content on the Audi TT Mk1. As always, thanks for watching, see you soon. Take care.